have mercy on us all.
The Last Voyage of the Demeter is a 2023 supernatural horror movie. Directed by Andre Overdahl, it's an adaptation of The Captain's Log, a chapter of the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. It stars Corey Hawkins, Aisling Francosi, Liam Cunningham, and David Dismouchin. The plot follows a doomed crew of a merchant ship, the Demeter, who attempt to survive the treacherous ocean voyage while being stalked by a vampire known as Dracula.
Something ripped apart the animals.
All the livestock?
This looks like a bite.
Search the ship. Everywhere.
So I've been excited about this movie for a long time now. I remember hearing about this a couple years ago, but it was in pre-production hell, and there was just all these issues on who was going to do this and that. I don't even know. I just know that it was being worked on for a long time. But when I heard that Andre Overdahl was going to direct this, I couldn't have been more excited because his other movies are fantastic. First, it was Troll Hunter, which I fell in love with, and is an amazing found footage style horror movie that still to this day not enough people have seen. Then he did The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is just full of mood and atmosphere, and really just a phenomenal horror movie. And then lastly, he did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I did enjoy, but definitely it's not on the same level as his other films. But still, just the way his movies look and the style and pacing, no matter which one, they're all just done with this really cool, creepy, atmospheric vibe. And so going into this, I didn't know what there could be as far as a story because it's pretty simple. I mean, it's one of those things almost like the movie Titanic, where you know the ending before it even happens. So you're really just going to see it unfold and see how it all happened because there's no surprises as far as what is the deal here. This is a crew that has Dracula feasting on them. And so I knew that this was going to be a visual buffet and really just a master class on how to direct a film. But as far as everything else, I've really just been curious to see if there was enough of a movie there to make it compelling outside of the visuals. And I gotta say, hell yes there is. Now, I'm not saying this movie is perfect or any of that, but damn, this ended up being a really good horror movie, so much better than I even expected, because it does have all those visuals. It is absolutely so creepy. The attention to detail, like this looks like a much more expensive movie than I know it was. I mean, everything just looks so well put together. There's so much detail from the set design to the wardrobe. I mean, it is a really well put together period piece. Like, it just feels like you're in that era. But then the acting is incredible. Everyone in this is just so good and so believable. Even the boy, I mean, every single one of them just stands out and just makes you go, wow. But the one that really shined the most for me was David Dismouchin. And I mean, honestly, everyone was incredible, but his performance, I mean, you could almost not even recognize that it was him. It took me a few minutes to realize, holy shit, that's David Dismouchin, because he just transforms into this character. From his accent, the way he walks, the way he talks, just everything about his mannerisms, he feels like someone totally different. He just commits himself so much to the roles that he's in. I mean, he's had a hell of a year. He was in The Boogeyman, and then Oppenheimer, and now this. And this is his biggest role of the three, but he just kills it in this. And so I'm going along, enjoying this period piece. It looks amazing, and it's so foggy and creepy. I just love the mood in this, right? But then the kills start to happen. And holy shit, does this movie get savage. I mean, gory, like you can just feel the tendons snap and the veins. Like, it's really awesome how much detail is put into the sound and the just vibrant nature that this version of Dracula attacks with. And I mean, on top of that, there's a few decisions here. I mean, this movie really goes for it way more than I expected it to. I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want to spoil that, but there are a couple things that you just don't see a lot of movies do. And so this wasn't a movie that was worried about mainstream audiences. This wasn't trying to dumb it down. I mean, really, Andre Overdahl came at you with full force with this film. I also really love this design of Dracula. I mean, it really reminds me of this guy over here. He has this real classic style to him, which I just think is fantastic. And that's where my negatives are kind of as well, because there are some practical effects, but also some digital ones. And there are a few moments where it just doesn't feel grounded. The CGI just doesn't quite work. And it really sucks because this movie was that close, in my opinion, of just being an absolute instant classic. And it still may end up being. I got to rewatch this and just really kind of feel it again. But there was just a few scenes where I was just like, oh, if the CGI could have just landed. And I mean, they do use practical. There's a lot of scenes where they do use practical and kind of whenever they really can. Because there's some scenes in here that you kind of have no choice. If you're going to do that scene, you got to do it digitally. There's really almost no real practical way that you could do it in practical effects. I mean, stuff that's very superhuman, if that makes sense. But for the most part, I thought the effects were blended rather well. And it's really impressive too because of how much ocean is in this, because there are some moments in this that I was just going, how are they pulling this off? Like, I mean, it looks so real, but they weren't actually, you know, a ship at sea getting washed around by waves and stuff. I mean, stuff that had nothing even to do with Dracula. It just looked that real. I mean, seeing the water just flowing onto the ship and all these people, I just would love to see some behind the scenes and see how that was pulled off because it was really well done. The only other real negative is because this is based on just this one chapter in Dracula, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it. So the characters are kind of surface characters. They do a really good job of showing their emotions and trying to show who they are, but there's no real time or point in giving them a real big backstory. So you're just kind of left with these surface characters that do a really good job and are interesting, but just don't have a lot of depth. So you're not feeling yourself extremely attached to them. So when people are getting slaughtered, you're not quite as connected to that as you kind of wish you would be. I also want to warn any animal lovers. I'm not going to say what happens, but if you're one of those people that just will not watch movies where animals die at all, just to warn you, there are some animal deaths. Not going to say who or what or how or any of the specifics, but yeah, you probably should avoid this if you just absolutely don't want to watch anything that's got animal deaths in it. I have heard rumors that if this movie does well, they would like to continue to make other movies in this Dracula world. And I really hope they do, because not to spoil anything about how this movie plays out, but it just kind of gives you a little glimpse, just a little picture into this version of Dracula. And I think this is a world I want to live in. I mean, this looks so cool, and the atmosphere, I could just literally live in this creepy, Halloweenish, foggy world forever. It's just so badass. And one last thing I gotta say, I went to an early screener at a Regal Cinema here in the Sacramento area, and it was the first time I've ever been to an early screener with them. And I gotta say, big thumbs down. They left the whole crowd of people, and these are people that have already, you know, a ticket to get in. Like, this is for a screener. You're definitely going to see this movie. And I mean, they left these people who are supposed to be like reviewing this movie and whatnot. They left us outside for over an hour in the Sacramento heat, which is well over 100 degrees right now. So I don't normally ever talk about things like this, but I had to mention this. I think they really should be ashamed of themselves, but beyond that, they need to be careful because someone's going to end up dying or getting very, very sick with them doing something like this. I just really think you got to do something different, especially when there's plenty of room inside. I mean, this place was dead besides this crowd there on a weekday for a screener. I mean, when we did get inside, there was no one else. So it wasn't like there wasn't room for the crowd to be lined up orderly inside. I just thought it was appalling, and honestly, it made me feel like from now on, if there's a screener at a Regal, I'm just not going there. The whole theater just felt run down. I mean, the seat I was sitting in, a spring was poking me in the ass the whole time. I mean, this place was not in good shape. However, I do have to say, the employees were all awesome. Every single employee I encountered, which, I mean, I'm not blaming them because every one of them was really nice to me and helpful in every way that they could. I think they were honestly just following policy and making everybody line up outside. So I used to be a manager of a theater, so I know kind of the inner workings a little bit, and that is a decision usually from the top. So whoever manages that location in Natomas, you guys got to do something about that. It's just not okay. You should honestly be embarrassed to do something like that to people, especially people that are there to review a movie and in some cases, like me, have a YouTube channel. I mean, come on, seriously.
He is on this ship, which means that we will never leave it.
The devil is real.
So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you guys enjoyed this, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button and ding that little bell, because this is my brand new channel and I really need your guys' help to push it so that the YouTube gods will show it to everyone. I didn't really want to split into 2 channels, but it doesn't seem like the algorithms, it's like they just get confused by my list videos and then a regular individual movie review. They just can't seem to figure out what's going on. They just don't seem to push the individual reviews at all. So I figured I would just split them into 2 channels, and hopefully the algorithm kind of figures it out now and promotes them, because I'd like some people to see my hard work. But I really appreciate you guys for finding me over here, for coming over here from a link or however you found this channel. I appreciate you, and if you could share it, that would be huge to me. But I also want to give a massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members of Ghost Pirate Entertainment. You guys mean everything to me. And if you would like to find out how you can support the channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. I'll see you guys next time.